Hey everybody, I thought I'd give a relatively quick update, but who knows how long those take. um, you haven't seen much of me, and that's not because anything has happened to me directly, but I did lose my mother to COVID about a month ago. So now I know the two things that were keeping me from completing the Drasaya ritual and why they had that big pause was one, I got shingles, and number two, after I recovered from shingles, suddenly, she was gone because I was like, yeah, I'm kind of okay, and then the stress of this and that, and then all of a sudden, she gets COVID and she dies. Just a quick public service announcement, a PSA. I do recommend that you get the newest booster as soon as it becomes available from wherever you're watching, assuming that you are not medically contraindicated from doing so. But really, a vaccine could have saved her life. And she died of disinformation as much as anything else. And that's sad, and now she's a statistic. So it's been very hard on me and my sisters, and I think that's about all I should say about that, but there was some other levels of drama that are sad and difficult to reckon with and reconcile with who she believed herself to be versus how she actually behaved. And so it's hard because she's not here to confront with this stuff. She's gone. And, you're sort of left a little partly as a detective and partly as somebody who's working through their own emotions and stuff like that. And that's what it's been like for me, is really trying to piece together information so that you know what happened, but also doing all of that radical self and heart work, learning how to accept that it happened and that it was just a bunch of very human mistakes. And so, the living we get to correct and to reflect on those mistakes and to correct those mistakes from happening again, basically prevent them from happening again and correct the error so that it doesn't happen again. So all of this is to say I also miss my mom, and that's hard. She's basically the last of the generation who raised me, the parents who I lived with growing up, and she's gone now, so I don't have her anymore, and now it's just me and my sisters and stuff like that. So in the meantime, as you can see, as I've always made pretty clear, I do follow a Buddhist practice in addition to an Enochian one. So I've been saying the Bardo prayer for her, and that's been helping. For those of you who want to know what it's like when you have somebody who's from a different belief system, I haven't really found anything off about what I'm doing. I haven't found a spiritual resistance from her. It's more like saying the prayer. It's more like there's parts of her that are still hanging on, like stuff that's kind of not, if you could think of it like a big chute, chute, or a pipe that you're trying to get the stuck consciousness to move on and do its thing. There's a little bit of residual stuff that is kind of tough to scrape out of it. So that's okay. It's kind of softening up. Even that stuff is starting to go now, but it makes me realize why they say to do it for 49 days. Probably it's of note that now we're in an eclipse season, so maybe they're trying to account for all variations of that. I don't know. It's certainly, more than one moon cycle, but less than two. So I don't know. Maybe they wanted to ensure that, you had, I don't know. It's 7 times 7. So those of you who are into Enochian know that that's a thing. So anyway, that's what's been going on, and that's why I haven't posted in a while. I did want to mention that I am full speed ahead as far as my Enochian work. This is the back half of the PGM. The angels have asked me to do 3 rituals to conflate their energy with some of what you would get in this Greek magical papyri. So today I did one of these spells. Here we go. In the Bet 2nd edition, you will find it's PGM 4, 296 to 466. And again, it's using this conflation of, apparently in this sense, some underworld or some infernal spirits. So in the spell, it's actually for a lover. To me, it was instead, I was told to make it so that to unite with Boreoth, Boraoth. And I'm again finding more, linguistic parallels to Enochian. Not all over the place, but, enough to be like, I'm wondering where they're grabbing that from. So that's interesting. That's been, it was interesting. I just finished that up about half an hour ago, maybe 15 minutes. And that's been good. It's been, I felt like I got a lot closer to her. She's very much a Neptunian energy. So in that sense, how do you hug fog? How do you do that? I don't know. But she was definitely there. And I definitely felt closer to her. It was because of the YouTube algorithm, I have to use euphemisms. So it was an esual magical ritual. And that's, some people do that, some people don't. I do. Certainly not all the time. But I definitely felt like at the end, okay, I felt more suffused with her essence. It probably wasn't as strong as the first one, in which I definitely had a very strong feeling of Sekhmet, but this one was more, because it's a wondrous spell to attract a lover. I think because I'm already pretty tapped into a lot of angelic energies, the reason the angels wanted me to do something that used more chthonic energies was they wanted the fullness of Boreoth, which will, that Neptunian energy, it suffuses everything. So that's why I think they had me do this. They wanted to make sure that everything was covered. So that's up. And then I have one more ritual to do when it is Libra season. It's very short. The spell, I haven't looked it up or planned anything yet. But that's because I kind of don't have to. It's so short that it's just gonna put a seal. But they wanted Leo, Virgo, and Libra energies, which is kind of interest because you have the sun in its domicile and then its fall, and then you have Saturn in its exile or detriment, and then in its exaltation, and then you have Mercury in its domicile in Virgo, and then Venus in its domicile in Libra. So you have, basically 4 planetary energies, 2 of which are getting the shadow and light side, and 1 of which is a luminary, 1 of which is Mercury, which is its own thing, and then a malefic and a benefic. So that's the part of my chart that, or the quadrant of my natal chart is the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd houses. So I think that's kind of interesting, and seeing as it was in May, I believe it was May, so that would have been, I think it was still Taurus season. So so I believe that so you get the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and then the 10th houses. I believe it all started in May, but maybe there was some, I'll have to look it up. I'll have to look up when that was. Ninth and 10th houses, and then first, second, and third. So, anyway, that should be of interest to you, I suppose, you know, if you're going to look at this after the fact. And I believe then that will cause everything to wrap up either in Scorpio season or at the very end of Libra season. I think it's the end of Libra season, but I could be wrong. Anyway, it begins back up at Michaelmas, or Michaelmas, depending on how you pronounce that. And anyway, yeah, so just reviewing the reason for this, I was trying to explain this to somebody today. The whole idea is that somewhere, either you could call it on the astral or the etheric realm, and I know basically it's somewhere on the imaginal realm. There's this structure that's already been built out fairly well, but the idea is that this will allow for some interoperability between Enochian, Buddhism, Egyptian magic, and the whole idea is that no matter what system could interface with Enochian, this is the idea for that structure. And I've had one person I'm in correspondence with, he hasn't given me permission to use his name, but he has said that he's also somebody who is into a lot of Eastern practices. He's found that the Enochian entities seem to want this engagement with the Egyptian ones. So, you know, and this is how they have asked me to do it, is through the PGM. And the PGM, of course, is a lot of conflation between Greco and Egyptian deities, and even Jewish and Christian ones, for that matter. So that's the whole goal of this. Among the ways that structure will interface with real life is the Enochian mandala. When I say real life, I mean the mundane world that everybody can agree on. That will be a means that somebody could go in, not only develop themselves spiritually just kind of by using this mandala as a focus, but so that anybody else so that if you are already of a nature so that some other system is better for you, then starting with this, you'll just naturally flow into whatever belief system that you have. So isn't that nice, right? A nice little, you know, it's not evangelizing to anyone necessarily, it's opening up doors and hinges almost, so that no matter what, you can get to where you are naturally inclined to go. So I like that a lot, and I'm very grateful to the angels for showing this to me, really giving me something that is aligning to me and my heart. Because for me, just a little bit, getting back to my mother, and then I'll call this a video and wrap it up. My mother was difficult to be with. She was somebody who built walls and not bridges, and here I am trying to build maybe not bridges but hinges. How about that, right? Because I think the bridges are already there. It's just that we need to get away from this part of our mind that acts like there's contradictions, right? I'm very much a believer, as you can tell with all the Buddhist stuff here, in non-dualism and non-duality. And I think that with the state of the world that we're in, that it's very easy to get confused or lost, and this is intended to help people find where they are naturally already inclined to go. And I think that's what ultimately magic can do for almost anybody. So when it comes to this mandala, what the whole goal is really, well, let me get back to my mom first. So my mom was a fundamentalist Christian. She believed for the last 40 years that Jesus, or for the last 35 years, we'll say, that Jesus Christ was going to come back soon, and that she had a very specific dogma about what you need to do and how you need to believe in order for X, Y, and Z for you to be saved or to be raptured, and all of that sort of thing. And the thing that for me that was difficult growing up with that is that, you know, I don't really, why even have a future, right? Why even prepare or plan for a future? Why make connections with people if the world's going to end, right? You know, Jesus is all you need. And that was really hard. And it's hard to be a human being and live in this life, in this world, with these human wants and longings and aspirations and goals and dreams. All of that gets cut off and done away with in the name of salvation. And you know, the trouble is that how can anybody claim to save you from your own dreams, right? That's a horrible thought. Well, I'm here to save you from your dreams, your goals, your hopes, and your futures. That's all wrong. I'm going to save you from that. Or better yet, I'm not going to save you. I'll just do it in the name of this other higher authority, right? You don't get to live fully. You don't get to be fully who you are. And so you can imagine what that's like, not only as a child, but also later on as a teenager, when making connections kind of is the number one thing you ought to do. And so there was a lot of growth I had to catch up on later on. And a major paradigm, internal searching and all of that. And now that I'm, you know, middle-aged and I have the experience doing this, it was a much, much faster process going through all of these stages when Mom turned out to be a lot of things that she never presented herself as. And I'll just leave it at that. So you can imagine how much I've had to focus on, like, what ought spirituality to be, because I certainly feel very much connected, certainly after Enochian, after having done the heavy work with that. I mean, my God, you know, and literally, you know, it's very real, it's very raw. So anyway, that will be the purpose of the mandala, to have this mundane thing that people can look at, use as a focus, use to help develop internally the energy systems and the mind, and getting the mind connected with the heart and opening the heart, working through the heart. And meanwhile, as it will sort of like naturally have these little inclines, so that somebody just sort of naturally rolls to whatever their spiritual and whatever you want to call it inclinations are, whether that be magical or purely spiritual or whatever, because this world is full of a lot of spiritual systems that, you know, I think that, you know, what's that phrase in French, vive la différence? There's a lot to be said for all kinds of paths, and I think it's wonderful. And I'm certainly not somebody who's going to impose what my beliefs are on somebody else, except to the extent that it violates human rights. And there's a reason why all the countries of the world were able to agree on a universal declaration of human rights. So, okay, so that's what's been going on. As you can imagine, it's a lot. And just my main takeaway is, do try to wear a mask in public, N95 or better. I wear an N100, and I've yet to catch COVID, and my wife, who's immunocompromised, has also remained COVID-free. And so I really am just grateful for the chance to live and to be able to, even with the problems, you know, and even though with the bipolar, it certainly makes things a lot harder to manage sometimes, I'm very grateful that to be alive and to take advantage of these opportunities. So that will be probably the main thing. I've also been getting a little creative, doing some creative writing, and I hope to finish a young adult novel. I'm already, you know, more than 10,000 words, so I guess that leaves me on the hook for the other 85,000, right? that you need to have to finish the novel. So anyway, so that's my dream. My dream for the future is to finish that out after I've finished this round of Enochian. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. You can still reach out to me through my Enochian.today website. I just haven't been as active because I've had life going on. And I think, if you're a magician and you can't handle life going on, how magical have you made your life if, you can't handle it? And so for me, it's just, what do I do? Do I do the ritual? No, I tend to my mother's affairs. So anyway, love you all, and I will talk to you later. And again, feel free to reach out to me either through my website, enochian.today, or you can leave a comment in the video. If there's a request for a specific video, or a specific topic, and I have time and I'm inclined to do so, I will do that. Otherwise, probably, like I said, in about a week or so, I'll start uploading videos of the second half of the Drasaya ritual, and I'm looking forward to that. So love to you, love to God, love to the angels, and I'll talk to you later.